Welcome, seekers of the unknown, as we pull back the veil between the living and beyond. Unraveling questions that plague our minds, and oftentimes presenting the evidence that may prove them true. Let us take you on a journey where paranormal becomes normal, and where what is right behind you just might be echoes of the afterlife or something more. But fair warning, once you step into the supernatural with us, you might just stay haunted.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stay Haunted.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Happy Monday. We did that pretty good. That was like stereo.
That was awesome.
We're working into each other.
I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I hope you celebrated America and the Declaration of Independence and the freedom and took time to honor those that have fallen fighting for our freedom. I hope everybody had a great July 4th weekend.
We did.
That's what happens. We've been together since high school, so like we finish each other's sentence so many times. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So she got this trip. We went to Disney for we spent the 4th of July in Disney and Epcot. Best fireworks ever. So
that's you though. I enjoyed it, but that's your thing. The fireworks.
Yeah, I love the fireworks.
The presidents. And I was just along for the ride for that one.
It was
good.
Time.
It was very nice. It was very nice.
We had an awesome time. And it wasn't that bad, heat and humidity wise. We lucked out.
And even people, it was not crowded.
It was not crowded at all.
Crazy crowded.
Wait times were not long at all.
Not at all.
Wow.
So,
I came for the lightning lanes thinking that it would be crazy, but it was like 20-minute, wait, which is nothing.
Wow.
It was nothing.
20-minute wait at Disney World? That's nothing.
Yeah. Yep, that's nothing. Then I'm like, why did I pay for all that? But it was better to have it just in case. And it was only the 2 of us, so it felt like it was so cheap. Compared to 6, it was only 2.
Yeah.
So it was so cheap.
So how was your weekend?
It was good. So, of course, everybody knows we moved up to Ohio to be near Audra's family. And
it was a family fun weekend.
Family-filled fun weekend. So Thursday, of course, everybody had Friday off, right? Most everybody should have had Friday off. But, of course, we had Friday off. So Audra, we went over to her parents' house, and her mom, and her sister made homemade strawberry jam preserves.
Oh, nice. Right.
Put a little lemon in it? Any lemon? No lemon.
You don't put lemon in strawberries.
Yeah. No, this is the freezer jam, so. No.
What was Mr. Allgood? What was my text to you? What I asked if you was
I was spiking it.
Oh.
I asked for a spiked version. They would not comply.
We almost did on the last one. We're like, ooh, adult.
While the 3 of them were doing that, me and the father-in-law, we watched the Tigers game. And then Friday we had a day date, and for the first time in probably 5 to 7 years, we actually went to the movie theater and saw a movie.
Wow.
We saw the new Jurassic Park in 3D.
Wow. Oh, that's
woo! Date night.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you've seen all the Jurassic Parks,
yes,
you've seen the new one.
I'm like, I didn't.
Right?
But I get it.
You get it.
I get it.
People go, hey, there's dinosaurs here. Let's go there. Oops, we shouldn't have gone here. Oh shit, people are dying, fighting, running from dinosaurs, and boom, eventually they, right?
Yep.
The best part was with the 3D glasses, the only jump scares I had is when Audra jumped and grabbed my hand really hard.
That's too funny.
Yeah, jumped.
No. Don't you blame me for that crap. But so we had a day date on Friday, and then Saturday we had a family day, went over to her sister's house, and then Sunday we did chores. I did my normal workout, and then we went over for Sunday dinner.
Awesome.
Very good.
Here's what's awesome, y'all. we come from Phoenix originally, right? I was there for 37 years. Audra was there for 30 years, right? I lived there my parents moved there when I was between 10 and 11. I didn't leave until I was 48 years old. You weren't allowed to do fireworks. Fireworks were non-existent. It's a desert. You're going to burn down the desert. They don't let you do it.
Right. Well, yeah.
North Carolina, it gets a little bit more rambunctious. There's more, right?
Yeah.
We moved to Ohio 2 months ago, and I'm going, I want fireworks. I'm going to run and get fireworks. I didn't end up getting to go because I was working, didn't have enough time, So I was disappointed. I'm like, damn, I wanted to really shoot off. Because you can buy some big ones. You can buy the ones that thunk way up and they look professional.
Mortars. You can get the mortars.
Yes, the mortars. We didn't have to. So we live in Perrysburg, Ohio, which is just south of Toledo. And all the neighborhoods around us, we could see the city setting off their fireworks. And then every neighbor, it seemed like every neighbor.
Yeah, every other neighbor.
They must have spent $5,000 on fireworks because it started Thursday night and didn't stop until last night.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, my Lord.
Literally,
5 nights of fireworks.
Yeah, we literally stood on the back patio Friday night, and we were watching
Thursday
7,
night,
8 fireworks shows.
Saturday night.
So I can tell you, y'all, Ohio knows how to celebrate the 4th of July.
And set off fireworks.
Set off fireworks.
That's a good thing.
It was pretty cool.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, like I said, the fireworks at Disney at Epcot it's called the heartbeat of freedom. Literally, they do their normal, and then they do a 5 or 10 minute tag at the end, and literally you're getting behind the American Pavilion and World Showcase, and then in the middle of the lagoon, they're firing off, and then at the end when they do their finale, like you're getting boom, 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 and you feel it in your whole body, and it's just like holy crap!
It was really cool.
It's like an amazing sensation feeling. Really makes you feel the American pride, So
that's awesome.
So, real fast, the dose. You want to explain those hot
Ron and
cocos?
Lourdes, we have a new name. Our new name is Dose Hot Cocos.
Given to us
by the kids, by Jenny Edmondo's kids. The 2 beautiful little girls. They were so nice, so nice. They were hugging. They were great, but they preferred to call us Hot Cocos.
So
hot cocos.
I don't mind it.
So they gave us the new nickname, Hot Dos Cocos. Those hot cocos.
Those hot cocos.
And so real fast, a lot of our paranormal community friends that we know investigate with are friends with 305 Paranormal out of Miami, Jenny Edmondo. We were watching their podcast last Sunday, and Carmela just heard something about Orlando, and then I messaged out to them. They were not playing because this was the last minute weekend getaway for us to go down there, and our paths crossed yesterday at Disney, and we got to spend like 3 or 4 hours with them and meet their daughters and stuff, and it was
awesome family. They're so
awesome,
nice,
great
so
people,
nice.
great individuals.
That is fantastic.
I know,
And everybody
sweet.
in the audience knows this. There are no better people to spend time with than the paranormal people.
That's right.
Yep, absolutely.
Most of them, anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Most of them.
what I thought was Jenny. I can't remember. Emma, not Emma. Who's your younger one?
Ariel.
So the younger one kept
Yeah.
saying, "We're family,
Emma, I
we're
think,
family."
yeah.
I thought she was saying we're para family. I'm like, oh my God, she's great. Like she's so great. She was really saying you're part of my family, which I thought that was awesome too.
That's awesome.
So sweet.
That is
They're
awesome.
all so sweet.
And guys, if you've never met Jenny and Mondo from 305, they're just fantastic people.
They are. They
Just
are.
honest, straightforward.
Are they going to
Fantastic.
Gettysburg this year?
They are not
They're
going to
not
Gettysburg, so it
going.
was bittersweet. They're not. Unfortunately, they're not making it up to Gettysburg this year. So
Dang.
it was kind of a little bit of a mix.
Now, I gotta say, I'm disappointed.
I know. I wanted to give hugs again.
Man.
Well, I mean, if they bring their daughters, they hug you all the time. All the time, they kept hugging me. I'm like, I'm not a hugger, but I'll keep taking them. Keep hugging me. We're the only ones that allow this. But they were great. They were really great.
That's awesome.
So,
All right, guys.
Guest, do you want to introduce him, Mr.
Yes,
Allgood?
we have a fantastic guest tonight. Guys, we have Ed Crimi, the curator and founder of the Vampire Museum. So Ed is the curator and founder of the Vampire Museum. and has been immersed in the world of paranormal since the age of 18. With a deep-rooted family history, his grandfather's brother and uncle were exorcists in Sicily.
Wow.
He has a passion for the mysterious. His passion for the mysterious was destined. He has traveled extensively, collecting and curating rare and powerful artifacts, including authentic sets used for vampire killing and relics tied to the supernatural lore.
Huh.
He's also an ordained minister and seasoned paranormal researcher. He's worked with museums worldwide and attended the prestigious Exorcist Conference in Rome. His life work is devoted to preserving the strange, the sacred, and the unexplained. The Vampire Museum stands as a unique testament to the eternal battle between good, evil, inviting guests to explore the dark corners of history, faith, and fear through the lens of carefully curated exhibits. So everybody, say hello to Ed.
Hello.
Hey, Ed.
How you doing, guys? Good to see the Stay Haunted group.
Thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So Ed, other than the family ties from Sicily, what drew you into the paranormal at the age of 18?
What happened
Well,
at 18?
Well, the family ties were really big. That was really big. Hearing all the stories from my father and reading things that my family has been involved in. I loved art. I loved antiques also. And I was fascinated actually by weapons, going to the Metropolitan Museum of Art as a kid, loving the arms and armor department. So that, with the combination of loving the antiques and being fascinated by the paranormal, I got involved in the antique business. And then I decided to start to collect paranormal objects.
That is fantastic. You will get a round of applause from everybody watching right now because
So you know, we know we're local. So the Vampa Museum's maybe it's like a 50-minute drive from us where we're at here in Columbus, New Jersey. It's in Doylestown, right? I think it's
Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So it's not that far. We've been wanting to get there, and then I had started to see it started to come across our social media feeds and stuff like that. You know, because you were promoting it, you know, obviously getting the word out, and it's a beautiful location. I mean, it really is. It's an eclectic location. For those that in the paranormal community that haven't been there, you definitely want to get there. It's listen, you could spend hours there.
You could.
And it's just not the Vampire Museum that what we're going to focus on tonight, but outside he has statues, antiquities, and you know, it's just a dinosaur.
Peacocks and peacocks.
And peacocks.
And peacocks.
Yeah, I was looking at. Is that a peacock?
She's like, she
like
saw this
hanging
big,
from the top of the
yeah.
roof.
She's like, what the heck is that? I'm like, oh, that's a peacock. And then she saw a bird come flying down. It had all orange underneath, a big orange flash. I'm like, oh, I think that was the peacock. The feathers on the bottom side.
We have 7 of them now.
Oh wow!
wow.
Well, we saw 2.
We saw 2.
They're not always so nice though. You got nice ones, Ed?
All peacocks are nice. It's the people that aren't that nice.
They were fine. They were just roaming, doing the business, and we know Rich Michelle. He's a good friend of ours.
Yep.
They don't bite. They don't scratch. I mean, they have a lot of bang for the bucks. They're just beautiful.
They are.
creatures.
They are.
So Ed, tell everybody about the Vampa Museum.
Well, the Vampa Museum is a museum dedicated to how art has been influenced between the battle between good and evil. We have vampire killing sets. We have exorcism chairs, Ouija boards, African art, haunted dolls. We have also a room dedicated to the edification of the Archangel Michael fighting Satan, which is our last room, which is one of the most beautiful rooms that we have there. We have a basement downstairs where there are items that we do cleanse, and we have opportunities for people who at special occasion to even do that as well.
Oh wow!
I didn't know that.
And that's so I know when we visited 3 weeks ago, I took a picture of it. We stopped and briefly talked to you. So those were things that we were, at some point. I know you do special evenings there, or you have, do you do special events?
Yes, we have special celebrations that we do at night. We have events that we do, and we have a big barn on the property. So we've had some really get-togethers there as well, comedy clubs and various things.
Oh wow!
Oh, cool.
Okay. So the special occasions. I mean, do you? I know you've had a couple. I know Eric Mantel investigator, our friend Richard Michella, spirit artist,
Yes.
medium, was there, did an investigation, I guess, with you guys. So that happened, what, like
Last
last
week.
weekend or
Last
2
week.
weekends?
I think it was Wednesday
So-
or Thursday. Yes.
So, and we were just talking before the show, you had some kind of unusual experiences. Do you want to share maybe some of
We
these?
had, being in the business for 45 years, probably the strongest paranormal item that I've ever experienced, and in a demonic sense. I mean, most of our items are paranormal. You know, guardian angels are paranormal, Jesus, Muhammad, that's all paranormal concept. We have very few things that I would say are very nefarious, but we had a clock. And what happened about 4 months ago, some people called me from Pennsylvania and they wanted to send me a picture of a grandfather's clock that they said was haunted. And they wanted me to buy it from them. I didn't really like the feeling of the clock, so I decided that I was going to pass on it. Well, it's not even a week ago. It's actually last week. It was actually Tuesday. Tuesday, I get a text about 2 a.m, and I get up very early, so I happened to be up, and I looked at the text, and it said, "Please come and take this clock away from us. We cannot have it anymore."
Wow.
So I spoke to them the next morning and said, "Okay, we'll make arrangements to get the grandfather's clock." And that's when it all started. So I decided that I was going to have them talk about the clock on a show that I was working with Eric Mintel on. So they were going to come on Wednesday. It was Wednesday they were coming. So I sent my truck on early Wednesday morning to pick up the grandfather's clock. Truck broke down twice, not far from where we rented the truck. So we had to go back. We got the truck. My truck driver was not comfortable with the grandfather's clock in the truck. We bring it back, and then the people are telling me the stories about the clock. And they left out a lot of stories like how many people died, how many people. It is unbelievable.
Minor details.
Yeah, the minor details. So then that night, we had Richard come over, and he felt some really negative energy towards that clock as well. He wasn't comfortable with it. So what happened also is that I heard some noises at night, and I went down into, we have a large room, which is where we call the Art of the Kill, where we have most of our vampire killing sets. And I live in the museum upstairs. And my brother was staying with me from Thailand. And I said, I have to go downstairs. I'm hearing noises. And I went downstairs, and I actually thought there were people in one of the rooms. I actually went upstairs. I got my handgun because I was really concerned of what was going on. Went into the room. There's nothing there. I walk near the clock, and the clock starts to shake a little. Like, that's really strange. So I start banging the floor to see what, if something's making it shake.
Right.
Then I saw that someone was in the clock itself because it was moving. So anyway, the clock then moved forward about 3 feet, fell down, cut my hand really bad. I mean, my 2 fingers here I probably should have had stitches. Cuts my hand because my hand went through the glass.
Oh no!
And I was bleeding. So I got the clock back up, but I couldn't understand how it moved. I mean, it wasn't like it moved a couple of inches; it moved a couple of feet. Ooh. So the next day we had Eric Mintel and a woman by the name of Julie, who's a psychic sensitive, come over, and we decided to talk about the clock on camera because I wanted to get the real time, because a lot of times, you forget what occurred. So I wanted to explain the story. And she said that there was going to be an accident on the property. And Thursday was the first Thursday that we were actually open on a Thursday. While she's leaving, a car drove through our fence from 202, crashed through the fence, probably going 50 miles an hour, and drove another probably 50, 60 feet up the driveway. And I'm telling you, I'm so happy no one got hurt. I mean, besides the people not getting hurt, there were children playing there 10 minutes before that. And they came up the driveway, and they said they lost control, like their car was being possessed.
Wow.
The car didn't get too damaged. We then, they came into the museum, they walked around the museum and tell me so that they never felt anything like that. And it was really strange because it happened the exact time that Julie was leaving, and she says she felt that there was going to be an accident with the clock. The next day, we were moving the clock, and a marble statue broke in half and fell on one of my workers' legs.
Oh my gosh.
It was, and then, when the people came and told the story of the clock, it was very similar to what I felt, because they said that the clock was they felt like conversations between two people, and I felt the same thing. On Sunday, the gentleman who's 75 years old who stakes the tickets, he walked by the clock and instantly got an incredible rash on his arm. I sent a picture to one of my workers who was on vacation, and she had a really unfortunate situation where one of her uncles got very hurt. It's been very strange. And then yesterday, I walked by the clock and I touched it lightly, and I had the bandages off my finger, and all of a sudden my finger started to bleed profusely. So I would say that of everything I've ever owned, this thing it's not good. I don't want it.
No.
You might want to get some
Holy
water and salt or something, and kind of encapsulate it around it. Kind of just put a barrier around it potentially.
I did that. We have a lot of crucifixes in the museum,
right.
And I don't normally go with the paranormal to the point of the paranormal. I believe in neuroscience. I believe in psychology. I take an opposite approach. It's usually something else, and most of the items that we have, are beautiful. They're decorative. They show history, but not necessarily have strong paranormal, energy attached. But this thing definitely has paranormal energy. No doubt in my mind. And I've been doing this for 45 years.
So the family or the people that you acquired the clock from, did they give you any background on it? I mean, detailed, or where they?
They wanted you to take it.
Right. But it came from England originally. They had it in the family, and there have been a lot of unfortunate situations that occurred. Now, I have to tell you the truth. Sometimes you can put, sometimes people think something, but they might even exaggerate a little. So when I read it, at first, when we spoke about it, I didn't realize all the details. But they explained to me what happened, and I actually believe them. I truly believe, from my experience, and when they said it, they believe it. But I actually think these things occurred. About voices coming out, because I heard the voices myself.
Right.
It's kind of sad because people got hurt also. One person got killed that owned the clock, one of their cousins. So, of course, they give it to me. It's like, we have this thing that's killing people. I know. Let's give it to the Vampire Museum.
Give it to Ed. He'll take care of it.
So, Ed, would you relate this to almost a form of the divot box?
Yes and no. I think this is even more powerful than that. There's something about this. We haven't decided where we're going to put it. I was going to take it. I have it in a corner.
The landfill.
I'm not comfortable with it. But we're definitely. We have another room in the back, and garages in the back that we plan to put it in. But it's not going to stay in the museum.
Oh, hell.
I was going to say, maybe into the cleansing room.
The cleansing room is down the basement. I'm not even putting it in the cleansing room. Because everything down there, it's like cleansed. Why would I contaminate?
True, right.
But I don't have a place to put. We have actually an old truck on the property. Might just leave it in the old truck. I don't even want to put it in my back cleansing room because the woman said, and I hate thinking about that, she sensed fire. And the last thing I need is anything I'm not comfortable with it. Of course, we talk about it now, and you guys go home, and I go back there, and I live upstairs above it.
We don't want to. No fire, no.
Thank you.
So when we were there 3 weeks ago, and we have a couple of things I want to kind of talk about. So one of them is, obviously you're an ordained minister. You've been to the Vatican for an exorcism conference.
Yes.
And then you want to, where I'm leading with this, the statue.
Under the stairs?
Under the stairs.
Was it was from an exorcist?
The Exorcist
Exorcist
statue.
Pazuzu.
Yes.
Right. So we have a marble statue of Pazuzu, which was represented in the movie The Exorcist. This item is, about 400 years old. And Pazuzu originally in Mesopotamian culture was not necessarily a negative or evil demon. A lot of times people get the things confused, but it was used in the movie The Exorcist. This was the imagery that was used. And this item does have, I would say, definitely strong paranormal energy, as well as maybe a slight I hate to use the word demonic because I really don't have many things that are demonic, but it's one of the more powerful objects, but nothing compared to the clock.
Oh, no, nothing
It's lost its power now.
Not compared to that.
And the reason I wanted to bring it up was because you were mentioning about people around the clock hearing voices. What was your experience when we were there? I'll let Carmela tell her experience.
I just went down there and I saw this, like the sign, like look in, but don't stare. So I looked
Don't
real quick and I
glorify.
thought, okay,
Don't
all right,
glorify
look away, look away, look away. So I looked, I just flung my glasses off. And then I came out and he went down and I said, look, just look, but get away. Like I felt like he couldn't stand there. Like something was going to happen if he stood there. So I'm like, just go and get out. So he went down and he's like, what are you talking about?
I'm
He
like,
couldn't
look,
find
I
it.
couldn't find it. It was right.
It was
next to
right
me.
there. And so he's like, oh, that's it. I'm like, don't stare at it. Something's going to happen. Now he goes out and these couple goes in and in my head, I hear a voice. Yeah, let's go get them. And I said, yeah, get them instead. Don't bother me. And like,
Here, let me show you a clock.
I was doing this. Come on. Let's go get them. I said, go get them.
Yeah.
We're out. We're good. Don't mind us. We're just passing by. Carry on. But it freaked me out a little bit. I looked, I saw, I'm like, nope, and we're out. Don't
Time to
go
go.
We
back.
have a lot of items in the museum, but remember the museum is to showcase art
Right.
and history.
Yep.
Not to
Right.
scare people and
Yeah, no.
hopefully not to bring any influences that are negative into people's lives, but more try to explain things and show the positive sides of the paranormal.
Right.
Right.
And that's
So I have a couple pictures.
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to? This is just a little tease. Todd sent me 70 pictures, and I told Ed before the show I wasn't going to show them all because then nobody'd go.
Yeah, right. We don't want to show everything. But
So we can talk when we share these pictures. So
What?
this
I
is
did
the
not.
entrance, right, Ed?
Yes, that's actually the back door to the Archangel Michael room.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, how big is this place?
It's big.
It's about 6,500 square feet. It's pretty big, the museum.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow.
And actually, those pillars you see there that are iron, they came from England, and they were actually in Buckingham Palace's stables, which burned down.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is way cool.
Ed, you got some connections. How did you get?
I've been collecting antiques and dealing
I know,
antiques
yeah.
my whole life.
Yep.
Yeah, so I do have good connections throughout the world. I've been in it, since I was basically 18 years old.
That's
So-
so cool.
Talk about this. This one's really cool.
Okay, so what that is, that's not a vampire killing set. It's more about the jinn, which is a Islamic concept more, and that was used to purify an area before you would walk into a room. The jinn are kind of stories of vampires as many jinn, but it's where we get the concept of the word genie from. So that's what that's about. That's
Right.
a very rare set,
Right.
and it has one of the smallest Qurans. We don't have it in there because it's so small for security reasons that I've seen. It's a Quran that's completely handwritten, and it's 3 inches by 3 inches.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's one of the smallest in the world.
So let's talk about that one.
All right, so that room here is an esoteric room where we have a lot of African art. A lot of that has come from a friend of mine who lives in Africa, and he gets a lot of items from a lot of the chiefs because what he does is that he protects elephants for a living. So he gets a lot of gifts. So he usually donates them to the museum. And a lot of them, even though they look sometimes scary, they're similar to gargoyles in churches to scare away the demons. So these are not necessarily scary items or nefarious items, I should say.
Right.
They're more or less actually positive energies.
Okay. Now let's talk about this one.
Oh, that's cool. So that is an original 18th century Italian hearse. And the family which I acquired it from, which unfortunately part of the deal is I cannot talk about the family that I acquired it from.
Yep.
But
Okay.
their grandparents were actually, and great grandparents were actually vampire hunters. That is fitted inside with all various tools to hunt vampires. It's been to Santorini and it's traveled throughout the world on various boats. It's an incredible quality item and very interesting historically.
Yeah, when
And
you
right there, you see an iron statue of Mephistopheles as well, which is pretty cool.
Jesus.
What's really cool about that is not just the history behind it, but everybody look at the details on this carriage.
Yeah.
Those are hand
Beautiful.
carved details in that carriage.
So cool.
People can't do this anymore.
They can. They want to.
They're too lazy to get that into
Zero
their
craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That's
and then
so cool.
the last picture I wanted to share with everybody is this one.
Okay, so what's that? That's one of the example of some vampire killing implements. We do have many in the museum. We're actually going to be in the Guinness Book of World Record for having the most in the world. And that's just one of the many cases that we have in the museum. We have 20, 30 cases like that.
That's fantastic. So guys, I just want to point out to the audience, I didn't want to show too much because I don't want to spoil it. I want you to go there. The second reason I wanted to show it is the detail of the details of everything that Ed has there. This man knows his stuff, and he knows what's sitting in his museum, and he knows where it came from. He knows the history behind it. The only question I have for you, Ed, is are you the guy that gives the tours? Because I can't imagine anybody explaining it better than you can.
You know, I do give the tours. I do like to be there on the weekends. I'm usually giving the tours. And the more signs I create, the easier it gets for me. But I do enjoy talking to the people. I enjoy giving lectures. I enjoy the information. And I will be probably giving the tours, you know, most of the time. However, my oldest daughter who lives in London is having a baby. And I want to be an active grandparent.
Yeah.
So I do plan to spend a couple of months a year in London every year. So my plan is between December 15th to probably February 15th to be in London with my daughter. So I'm going to be training some of my employees to give the tours as well. Because if I don't do that, how am I ever going to see my grandchild?
Right. Absolutely. You need to be there.
Starting this year, I'm going to do that.
And what better time of the year to leave Pennsylvania?
Exactly. I hope to actually, I do a lot of work in Asia and Thailand. So I hope to go to Thailand also. That's where my brother lives. So I hope to, after I go spend 6 weeks with my daughter, maybe spend 2 or 3 weeks with my brother in Thailand. Because I do buy a lot of things also there.
So I got a question for you. You've got children.
Yes.
You've got this museum. You've got the intensity of what you have in the museum. What do your kids think about your museum?
You know, interesting. So my oldest daughter, Gabriella, she is an Oxford graduate, Rhodes Scholar. She speaks 7 languages. She has a very good job. But I think she wants to work in the museum. That would be what she would like to do full time. So we're hoping that maybe in about a year we can accommodate that. And then my youngest daughter has a very good position. She works for Lowe's in the writing department. She's an amazing writer. And she would also probably one day like to work full time for the museum as well. As we grow and we have other projects that we're doing, I can definitely use their help.
Right. And part of that is, right, I mean, for you to spend some quality time with the family and stuff like that, all that knowledge, that 45 years of experience and knowledge and world travel, like it would be good, you know, to have your legacy basically passed on and to share that with people so they can tell, you know, and that are just as passionate about the information and the history, the artwork.
Exactly. And they would love it. And also the goal of the museum, every month we pick a different charity to give money to. So I would like that someday this property, which is beautiful, and the museum to work with, you know, funding projects to help children, to help people. So that's the plan. I mean, I will die at one point. We all do. So I would like that to be the legacy, not just about the museum, but about helping people that are not as fortunate as other people.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
And that's really what our ministry work is about. You know, our whole ministry is non-denomination. It's all about love, compassion, and charity.
Right. Well, I even want to talk about when you walked into the room where the
clowns.
The clowns.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't see it. My back was to it. He's like, "Oh, I feel heavy. What's going on in this room?" I'm trying to point to him.
When I walk from, because I think that's where the statues, the one picture that Chris, because when you go from that room, that goes and transitions into the clown room, I believe, right? With the
the
African, all the different statues, And we were, I walked in and it was just like and I usually don't get those types of feelings or sensations when I walked in there. I don't know, maybe it was psychosomatic or something, but it was just, I was like, man, I got a weird feeling walking into this room with all the
And I'm just
all the
whistling,
clowns.
twiddling my thumbs like.
She's like, yeah,
That way.
food. I'm like, oh, okay.
But then what did you say when you walked into
And then
the
when
next room?
and then when we went in, and then at the end, the Archangel Michael room, like it was just
You
complete.
feel lifted in there. It's amazing. Everyone says the same thing. Yeah,
It's like
everyone
you
says
could
the
breathe.
same
You were
thing.
kind of like,
Yes.
okay, I feel better now. Definitely, that was a huge difference. The other thing is we got to talk about Sicily. What's the story?
So I was
It's a
talking
Sicilian
about,
part.
my family's roots were in Catania, Italy, and Sicily, and they were priests and full-time exorcists. And you usually are a full-time exorcist. When you are an exorcist, you're so busy doing that you don't really perform other duties usually. And our family roots are very strong there. We actually have a beautiful 19th century Sicilian cart that's all hand painted in the museum, which is a positive paranormal idea, because that really shows that was really used for weddings mostly to bring good luck.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that
And
was.
I love
yeah,
Sicily. I mean, that's my favorite place. The best swordfish in the world. If you can't get swordfish
Oh, I
anywhere
didn't eat
better
it. We
than in
didn't
Sicily.
try it.
We didn't. Yeah, we're not. Unfortunately, so
You would eat it there, though.
I would probably eat
mean,
it. I would try it. I'm not a big seafood person, but I'm willing to try a little taste here and there. So
I
Our
was
son
there
had
a
visited
year
it
ago. I eat
Yeah.
swordfish every night.
very nice.
Well, we were there, and we had a nice little what's it called?
What's that? The
The
villa?
compound.
We
were
were
in a compound.
Arcangelo.
Something or another, and
So it was for her parents' 50th anniversary.
That's
And
nice.
we had went on like
40
30 of
people,
us.
yeah, 30, 40
Yeah.
people, and the food was unbelievable.
Because her family's from Enna.
And
Sicily.
yes, and Sicily.
So
I
but
actually
it's-
have some. Actually, I shouldn't say it, though, if I get in trouble. No, I can't say it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, send me a text.
I don't know what happened. Well, I can't say it.
All right, we'll talk later.
I don't really know. I think the Italian government will be annoyed. No, I just realized.
We'll talk off air. Off air, we'll talk.
You know what?
It
I
was a
wanted
nice day.
I wanted to put out to the audience that Ed made a very good statement with the paranormal. You say you have the darker negative side of the paranormal, but you also pointed out that there's a light side to the paranormal. And when people talk about the paranormal, the minute you say the word paranormal, people start going, ooh, ghosts, demons, negative.
Yeah.
You made a very good point that I want to make sure that everybody heard is there is a light side to the paranormal and a dark side to the paranormal. And then there's also that in between. The paranormal is not always negative.
Right. And we try to show that in the museum. And what do I explain? I make the example. Let's say, I make a couple examples. One I make is that let's say you have a couple, and in the middle of the night, the man wakes up and starts shaking his wife. The first thing that's probably going to happen is her amygdala is going to get into a state of fright. So it could be something negative. Yet he could be telling her that there's a fire in the house and to actually save her. We see a shadow in a room and we get scared only because of the brain chemistry. At that point, it could be your guardian angel trying to help you. And I always make this statement is that if the devil is so powerful, then why did the Archangel Michael kick his ass?
Right.
Thank you.
Bingo.
Thank you.
So it's not that powerful. Good is always more powerful than evil. And I'm also a martial arts instructor. I'm a 6th-degree black belt, and I train people, my whole life, and used to fight full contact when I was in my 20s. And a lot of times you see stories, and the true stories of a woman picking up a car to save a child. We have documental proof on that. No one's ever picked up a car to throw at a child and hurt a child. So,
right.
So the power is in the positive, not the negative. The true power.
Right.
The negative is a problem, and the dark side has strength, but it still doesn't compare to love, compassion, and charity, which is much more powerful than anything that's negative.
Right. I always say if you're going in looking for bad, you're going to find it.
Exactly.
But if you don't go in, you're going to be all right. If you don't go in, if you go in thinking positive, you'll be good. You'll be fine.
Well, and you guys make a very valid point. The minute people feel that negative portion of it, it incites fear.
Right.
And fear gives you that fight or flight response. And most people, it's a flight response. It's not a fight response, right? So
Right.
so when you experience something that's negative, rarely do we come across the demonic, right? But when you experience something that's negative, most people have a fear of it, and that fear is overwhelming. But when you experience something that's light, that's paranormal, you feel comforted, you feel in peace, so you don't run from it. It's not a fear thing. So you get that negative connotation that because you fear it, it's stronger, but technically it's not. It's just your fear
embrace the
making you feel.
positive.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
It's just like Ouija boards. You know, people talk about Ouija boards,
I don't
that
like
a portal to Satan, blah, blah, blah. But really, the portal is the brain. I mean, I live there in the museum. So sometimes I walk in and, you know, I'll pass some of the items and I'll like smack them because the Ouija board has no power over me. It's what's in my mind that's going to have the power.
Yeah, that makes
It's a piece
sense.
of wood.
Yep.
It's a piece of wood, the Ouija board. That's how I look at it.
I'm going to think that
And
way
I
now.
think, because you actually have there is one little section where you do have a collection of boards.
The boards,
And most of them are
spirit board.
talking boards, not Ouija
Talking
boards.
boards,
Ouija is a trademark. I'm using the word Ouija because most people, you know, understand the truth, but they're actually talking boards prior to Ouija. Spirit boards.
Yeah, before
there's a couple of people that collect the talking boards, spirit boards, and have an amazing collection of the talking boards. Original ones. Dating back 40, 50, 60 years or whatever. So it's pretty amazing. So I have a question. So the exorcism conference that you attended at the Vatican, what was like? How did that come to be, and what was that like?
Well, it's something I've always been interested in. I was invited. I had to have my local priest in Lambertville, New Jersey, Father Robert, actually start the process. And then I had to have a bishop also sign off, and I had a nun pray for me every day. So to be invited to such an amazing conference, which actually I was speaking to one of the exorcists today, as a matter of fact, he's from Texas, Father Lee, and we were talking. But to be with over 300 exorcists and exorcist candidates, and to communicate and to speak to these people and to see films that people would never look at. Now, some of the films that I did see, I'm not allowed to talk about. And it was a set rule, and I'm not messing with any of that. I'm definitely not going to discuss that. But the things that I did see, it was all real. There's not going to be 300 very intellectual people, and it wasn't mass hysteria. And the funny thing is, they're so calm about it. Like when the exorcist talks about the situation, so the demon presented themselves, and this happened and that happened. It was very, very fascinating. They're very smart people. What I found interesting, one of the things I learned there, and I did a lot of reading and I've studied it, but one thing I really understood is that, let's take the movie The Exorcist, for example, and the scene when her head is spinning around and that's going on, and people say, well, that's not possible because her neck would break and blah, 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 blah. Remember, you're dealing with a celestial being that doesn't do time, doesn't do gravity. What's really being affected at that time, her head's not spinning. Your imagination is seeing that through the demonic entity. So you can have 3 various exorcists in a room. One will see levitation. One will see the head spinning. One might see something else. So that's what's going on in those situations. Now, I've been involved in 7 exorcism doing prayers of liberations. I'm not an exorcist. And I've seen things that are just amazing. I truly believe, having my family going to the Vatican conference, seeing it myself, I'll still be driving sometimes and I'll say, nah, this can't be. But it was very fascinating. It was very academic. It was really a learning situation. I mean, the best part was, you're in Rome, so the lunches were like 2.5 hours, and the food was amazing. And I'd be sitting with a lot of the exorcists. Now, there were people from all around the world, so there was some limitation in talking regarding language. That was one of the difficult parts. But we had headphones on during the conferences, so that was easy.
Right.
But I'm going to go back probably next May. I was invited again, and I think I'm going to attend. And one thing that I saw that it was amazing, and I'm really trying to get the rights to bring that into America, is a film that they had, which showed how liberating. It was positive. You walked away not scared, but you felt
Right.
good inside. It showed, like angels blowing horns and showing the power of good over evil. Beautiful, beautiful film. I would really like to get the rights to actually present that in America.
And that ties into what you talked about, good over evil,
Right.
always more powerful. And Chris, you we're getting ready to maybe mention this. So a couple weeks now, we had Father Bob and Father Reverend Ken on, and what you just talked about, the prayer and liberations, right? Father Ken mentioned out of the 300 cases he's been on for exorcisms, he's like 0.1% was actually
0.01% is what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, one was 0.1% was demonic, or it was of nature. It was one of the two cases was one was oppression, and then one was like truly he felt was demonic, like it was like
right. It's usually demonic. It's usually oppression. It's not usually full blown. Demonic energies.
Right.
And sometimes it's psychological too. But it's sometimes neurological. I had a friend of mine unfortunately passed away from a brain tumor, and you would have thought that he was possessed. People have dissociative identity disorder, schizophrenia, and those have similarities. But the thing is, you can't rule it out because it could be a spiritual connection and a psychological or a neurological connection. It's not just it's one or the other. It could be two or three. And that's how the demonic energies are very tricky, is that it's very hard to ascertain because how can the finite mind that we have conceive the infinite? How can we as human beings conceive something that is celestial? We can't. It's impossible. Logic dictates. It's like saying I'm going to build a spaceship with a toothpick. It's not going to happen. We really can't do it. We can't even do the time. They're working on a different concept. If they possess a person, it might have nothing to do with that person, but something to do with their great grandchildren to the 10th power.
Right.
So we'll never really understand it.
So you could almost say a possession and an exorcism is almost a neurological manipulation of consciousness.
Yes, definitely. Because we have a brain, so it's working on our brain and other people's brains too, including, a demonic entity could possess a person with the concept of actually really going after the priest, sister's brother. It's that far out it could be.
All I know is if it comes after me because of my brother, I'm driving to Nebraska and whooping his ass. It's bullshit that I got to deal with your crap.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people say, well, I'm a good person. I'll never be possessed. Well, the demonic entities already has the Charles Mansons and the people like that. They go after the good people. They want to divide families and peoples and love and charity. That's what it's.
And they attack the vulnerability and weaknesses of those people too. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
You have an eclectic location, and listen, and like you said, they're for the most part, like when you go through, it's very educational. I've never seen so many crosses in one location. Like you said, it's how many? Do you know how many you have actually? I mean,
I don't, but that's why I can sleep there, because I know I have more crosses per square inch than anyone else.
I believe it. Yeah, I'd sleep soundly also.
So
people were trying to I was trying to read and I'm looking at everything and the person behind me is like, because I'm not moving quick enough. I was putting it all in. I'm like, well, go around me. Like, leave me
hey, this is 18 holes you can play through.
Right. Play around. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we were talking, it's not that expensive of the location, $20 to get in. It's, and you can literally spend as much time in there. And that's what, to really take your time and go through and read each of the items that are in the museum. You could spend easy. I mean, we were in there 2 hours and we did take our time. We could have taken more time.
I needed more time.
Yeah, we definitely. I mean, so
you should have charged these two more, Ed.
And I allow people to have little picnics there. We have also the maze for the children to walk through. Obviously, the dinosaur park, which we set up prior to COVID to help the community, because a lot of people were stuck inside. So it was a way that children could get out.
We've
had, a lot of things going on the property.
Was that one of the 70 pictures I sent you? I don't know if I included the dinosaurs. There was like dinosaur I bad on me if I didn't send you the dinosaur pic, Chris.
But I did see Jurassic Park this weekend, so
There you go.
So Ed, we've got about 6 minutes left. Do me a favor, bullet point the Vampa Museum. People arrive, what are they going to experience? Bullet point some of the things that we haven't talked about that they can see at your museum.
Okay, well, just to reiterate, we actually have the dinosaur park where children can run around. We have a maze. The peacocks are amazing, a lot of fun. And then we have the museum itself. We also have an amazing antique business there as well that's up in the barn, which you saw some of the things. I think you even want to buy an item that we have. And we have a very nice gift store that we have some interesting objects. And we have a really amazing staff. We have Megan, Cammie, Ted. We have people that are really good, wonderful people. I have employees that have been working for me for 35 years. Robbie's been working for me for 50 years.
Wow.
So we have people and Ted, who's 75, his mother worked for me when I was in my 20s. So, it's like a family-oriented business. But, like I say, Megan, Cammie, Cammie's new. She's wonderful. Megan's been with me forever. She's, just a wonderful human being. We have good people working here. We're a good family type of group. And we just want to also give back to charities. And most people really love the place, and it makes me happy because we put a lot of effort into it.
That's fantastic. And if you guys are interested in a clock, Ed has one for sale for you.
That's a problem. I got to deal with the clock. And I do apologize to the people that came in today that the clock was there, because I really shouldn't have it out. But we have paranormal investigators coming tomorrow and the next day, and they have to look at it in its place right now. But I got to get it out by Thursday when we open up, because I don't think it's right for me to have it out. I don't know where to put it. I got to deal with this clock.
So you do allow investigations?
Yes, we have people that come. Yeah, we've had a lot of paranormal investigation. And actually, on October 3rd, with Eric Mintel, we're going to be at the County Theater in Doylestown. And it's called Paranormal Activity Research Agency, which is a business that I opened up. And that's going to be a very interesting concept. And we're going to discuss that further as time goes by.
Oh, nice.
That's fantastic.
I have a quick question. So have you still been in contact with the family that you got the clock from, and how are things going with them now?
I haven't spoken to them since then. So I'm going to reach out to them probably in a couple of days.
They're not going to answer.
They're a very nice family. They were really sweet. When I read the stuff that they wrote down, I really was like you didn't tell me about the death. They were happy to get rid of, but also part of it is that they felt that it could be safe in the museum and that I could cleanse it. I mean, basically, it's not like Harry Potter magic. I believe that in cleansing, it's basically prayer, and just a strong edification of the mind. But I can't deal with it. It's not safe, and that's the problem with it. This item is not safe. And probably tomorrow I'm going to take it out of the place.
Go ahead, say it.
Wow.
You want a clock? Did she say she wanted a grandfather?
I was there.
When we were there, now that she's saying this, she may not have said this.
And I said, I really want a grandfather clock. And
that's funny.
We were talking about it, and then I came down and like, do you have a grandfather clock? Now that I say that,
see, Todd, you thought you're getting a display case. You're getting a grandfather clock.
I just want a display case for my uranium glass so I could put the black light over it to make it all fluorescent green, shiny, and light up nice.
And now you get a clock.
Now you get a clock.
It's fantastic.
So one other quick thing I wanted to bring up, and I know not everybody, I just saw it on one as I was scrolling through just before the show, just kind of trying to refamiliarize myself with some of the areas of the museum and the grounds. So you do have one area, it was where you have a vampire coffin, is it an 18th century vampire coffin?
So that's in a separate building. That's in what's called a vampire sanctuary room. Okay. So that was actually built, and it was I was inspired by a woman by the name of Madam X, who is a vampire, and a very wonderful person. She does lectures here occasionally. So she said to me, "You don't have a place that people who consider themselves vampires to feel safe." So I made the vampire sanctuary room. No exposed crosses. You can't go in with stakes. We have mirrors that don't show reflection, and we have a 18th century coffin in there. So that's something that's very interesting. Also, something I wanted to mention is that we're working with a book publisher, and we're actually doing a major coffee table book that will come out next year.
Awesome.
So we're working on that. We'll also have stories in it regarding my traveling and acquiring so many items as well.
That's awesome.
That's
Little
so cool.
backstory to the history of how you got it and where it came from. That's
really
fantastic.
My daughter's actually helping me with that. She was helping me yesterday because, well, like everything, we're always behind deadlines. So,
Well, awesome. Before we go, Ed, tell everybody where you're at, what time you're open, how they can get there.
so we are open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 to 5. You can get tickets at the door. We're in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It's called Vampa Museum, and it's always good to see what we do on Instagram because there's testimonies to various paranormal experiences that people have had there. So come anytime, and you're welcome to come, and I think you'll enjoy yourself.
That's
We
fantastic.
definitely will.
I know Ron made a comment. He was
That
in
would
the
be a good
chat
idea.
to get TDSC. So we have good friends of ours, and Ron, I think you and Ron would have a
You would.
great conversation because you're very knowledgeable, and he's of they practice it's called digital seance experience. They use a methodology that dates back to the European roots. Actually, an Italian gentleman named Marcello Bacci was doing ITC, instrumental transcommunication, through direct radio voice, old glass tube vacuum radios. Ron and his girlfriend Lourdes are into it now, and they've gotten into a theory of universal consciousness, analytic idealism. You two would have a great conversation, and I think the method of communication, spirit communication, would be an interesting.
Yes. That would be very interesting to do in the Vampa Museum because so basically what they do is they take a white noise generator that does not receive or transmit a frequency. They filter out the white noise, and in scientific theory, there should be no voices. They get constant real-time communication once they remove the white noise from the white noise generator. It's and I'm sure there's a much more technical. Ron's a lot better at that than I am. Basically, there should be no voices, but the voices come through. They answer direct in real time. It's a real time EVP machine is basically what it is, and it's fantastic. They get accuracy, they get intelligence, they get relativity, they get
timing and relevance, baby.
Timing, relevance, intelligence, and then they actually the voices they pick up actually they actually have accents. They have condonation. You can tell if it's a male. You can tell if it's a female. It's a fantastic thing.
Well, I appreciate you recommending them, and like always, they will come, do what they do, and they'll say goodbye, good night, Ed, and I live there. And that's what always happens in these situations. Everyone comes in, does all that stuff, the voices, the things, the movement, and they say, see you, Ed, have a good night, and they leave.
Everybody stays here.
But you have all those crosses, so you're protected.
Exactly.
You're good.
There you
There you go. There's Ron right there. And we'll do it with the clock present too. All right, guys. Ed, thank you so much for being on the show. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. We'll reach out to you because we would definitely love to come there and then investigate.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We really do appreciate your time.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in again this week. Make sure you tune in next week to Stay Haunted. And remember, guys, if you want to go meet Ed, you want to visit the Vamp Museum, you want to learn about all different forms and sides of the paranormal. The Vampa Museum is the place to be. And if you want to go talk to a grandfather clock that might hit you in the head, you got to visit the Vampa Museum. But most of all, guys, you got to stay haunted. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Good night. God
Have
bless.
a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining in.